This is No BS Job Search Advice Radio, episode 1603. I'm your host, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome. I'd like to spend some time daily talking with you about some aspect of job search because I believe it doesn't have to be as hard, difficult, painful, or take as long as it does. It's just a completely different skill set than doing your job. And today, well, this was an experiment I did by doing an Ask Me Anything, an AMA, and I cover a number of different questions that I hope you find helpful. And if you do, please give the show a great review. It does help with discovering it. It does provide recommendations on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to the show. It just helps other people find it. So with that, let's just get going already, okay?
And I'm doing an experiment today of answering multiple questions from people because I have the idea of doing a talk show come the new year. So tell me what you think and leave a message on Facebook, on YouTube. I just think it's a nice way to help more people more quickly. The talk show idea I have is using technology and bringing people into conversation with me where I answer questions from multiple people on a given day. And here I'm taking questions from people so I can wind up helping more. So here are the questions for today. The first one is, what looks better on a resume? 8 years at one job and a good recommendation for a manager, or 2 years at 4 separate jobs with good recommendations from all the managers? Great question. And there's no simple answer because there are some fields where being at one organization for 8 years is preferred. And there's some organizations and some industries where they absolutely loathe that. They kind of think of people who do that as being dead-end employees. And they really don't like those people. For example, in consulting, to be at one organization for 8 years on one assignment, and I'm using the example of, let's just use consulting in general, where you're assigned to one specific client for the 8-year period of time. You're like being an employee there. You're not really a consultant. And one of the things that consultants value is the diversity of experiences, so that you're not just the expert in one environment for a lengthy period of time. You develop multiple experiences with different organizations that have different needs and different personalities. So it really depends, and there's no simple way of answering it. And sorry, wish it were different, but that is the way that it is. Here's another question I received from someone. Are there headhunters that only charge money if they land you a job? No, not any good ones. And that's a very simple one to ask. And I'm going to give U.S.-centric advice here and opinions, but just understand that why does a recruiter charge money? Well, let's define a recruiter. A recruiter is someone who is hired by a corporation to fill a position. They're not hired by you to find you a job. That's the way of the business. So what you can do is find recruiters who are interested in your background, but any good recruiter is not hired by you because you're irrelevant to the equation. There's too much of a variable on your performance. After all, if you can sit back casually and go, I don't have to pay anything unless they find me a job. So, yeah, I'm looking for a job, but I'm not going to work too hard at it. They're going to go broke pretty fast on people like you. So understand, corporations hire recruiters and they pay them a fee if they are successful in referring someone who's hired. Now, in the retained search business, they pay them a fee to retain them at the time of presentation of a short list of candidates and upon conclusion of the search, plus expenses. So again, who's going to work for you? Seriously, who would want to work for a job hunter to try and place them in a position? Now, if we're talking about coaching is a way that someone will help you, but you have to pay them for their time and their services. After all, no one can pay their utility bill based upon whether or not someone can deliver on an interview, right? So not a very productive situation for you as the job hunter, and certainly would not be one for the recruiter if they were trying to find a job for you. Third question, I'm going to do 5 today. If you were given a written notice at work, should you be looking for another job? Could that mean they want to get rid of you? I can only shrug my shoulders, because when you're given written notice, it is a warning, and they're building a case on your performance. Did you notice that when they met with you to give you that written notice, they talked with you about the importance of improving your performance, so that, at the end of a particular period of time, unless you improved your performance, they would have the right to let you go, to fire you for poor performance. If you weren't listening, well, that could be one of your problems, because that is the purpose of a written notice, is to put you in the position of being notified that unless your performance improves, they will fire you. So yes, they are considering getting rid of you, but they're giving you a chance to improve your performance, so that in this way, if you can do it, great. They prefer not firing people. But if you can't improve it, you're out the door. So hustle, guy. Hustle, lady. Put in an effort. And I'll just use an example of someone who I coached a while back, who had a person working for them who just was not putting on a good performance. Poor sales, poor delivery, didn't really put in the hours. He gave them a write-up, a written notice to let them know that they weren't performing well. They did it in conjunction with HR and set down the performance criteria that this person needed to meet by end of year, or else they would be terminated. The person left prior to the end of the year because they knew they couldn't meet these objectives. They hadn't done it for 2 years up until that point, and they certainly weren't going to meet in the next 90 days. Again, a written notice is a warning. It is a notification about performance criteria that will allow you to remain in an organization and include in what you need to do in order to keep your job. 2 more positions, 2 more questions. One's about resumes, one's about the recruiting field. Should you include a description of a company on your resume? 1 line at most, but only if it's a firm that no one's ever heard of before, or fewer people might have heard of before. So, for example, if I said to you, JP Morgan Chase, why would you waste the space on describing them as an international banking concern with headquarters in whatever your nation is and whatever the city is? It's goofy. It's a waste of time. But if you work for 3 imbeciles in a garage and you're a software developer, you might want to describe what the imbeciles do in order to to illustrate to employers that it's an organization of significance. So if we were describing this company as a 200-person software development firm headquartered in Tokyo that provides software services to the financial services industry, suddenly the 3 imbeciles don't look like imbeciles, do they? And I'm using a goofy name, obviously, but pick any company name, and suddenly, if it's a firm that no one's ever heard of before, now they might hear of them, and thus it makes more sense for people. So consider only if you have a situation where someone might not have heard of your employer. By the way, how am I doing so far? Leave a note for me, a comment to let me know that this is a format that you like. Also, If you're interested in my coaching you, and I have one more question to cover. If you're interested in my coaching you, you can reach out to me through my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us, or you can message me at jeffaltman@thebiggamehunter.us. In the subject line, put the word coaching. We'll schedule a time for a preliminary conversation. I want to be clear. I don't do recruiting. Not interested in helping you find a job by placing you in a position. I coach people to high performance. Last question for today. Is recruiting a dead-end job? I'm going to define a dead-end job as I see it. A dead-end job to me is one for where there's no upside potential. You are stuck doing the same thing for the next 40 years of your life. Now, by that potential, there's a limited career path within recruiting. Number one is you make more money. That's a great career path. You start off making $50,000 a year, for example, and a year or two later, you could be making $250,000 a year just by doing sales. You could be making $500,000 a year or more just by selling. Does that mean it's a dead-end job? By a lot of people's definitions, that's not a dead end. That sounds great to them. But here's another definition. If you're in a job where that's all you're ever going to do for the next 40 years, some people get a little uncomfortable with that. And they think 40 years of doing the same thing over and over again, not knowing where my next commission check is going to come from, where I have to always be out there for the rest of my life, trying to sell people, trying to sell organizations. That doesn't sound so good after a while. So recognize that, it depends on your definition. If you're looking for a ladder to advance, recruiting is not your field because the basic ladder has two choices. And I'm putting aside the two that I've already given you. The ladder is I manage a team of people or I leave and I start my own search firm. That's the ladder to advancement. Even if you choose the one managing a team of people, you and your team need to continue to perform at a high level. Otherwise, you will be fired. So that's the limited ladder, and I'll let you decide whether or not that's a dead-end job by your definition.
So that's today's show. I hope you found it helpful, and if you did, here are a few more ways to get more from me. First of all, visit my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us. I have more than 6,000 blog posts there that you can watch, listen to, or read that will help you find your next job. If you want the best of my advice, join JobSearchCoachingHQ.com, where I've curated information with a focus on interviewing. If you decide to take the lifetime membership at the site, it's $299 currently, but that's the price of a coaching session or an hour of coaching from me, and I'll be giving that to you if you join with a lifetime membership. Have a few questions? Contact me through the Magnify app for iOS or PrestoExperts.com where you can call me. Schedule a specific time with me through chat on Magnify or by connecting with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/The Big Game Hunter. Once we're connected on LinkedIn, you can message me about coaching you, scheduling a time for Magnify or Presto Experts, speak with me about a resume or LinkedIn profile critique, help you with a salary negotiation or my trusted advisor services, and much, much more. Like you, I don't work for free. I do charge for what I do. You can take my classes on Skillshare and become a premium member using the link in the show notes and receive 2 months for free instead of just the one that the site offers. Skillshare offers thousands and thousands of courses, not just simply mine, on a host of different subjects that can help you in many different ways. Lastly, join my group on Facebook called Career Angles. It's free to the first 250 people who join and is focused on helping you do better at work. Information is shared daily, and we're attempting to build a supportive group there. Ask to join. I'm not letting recruiters in at this point. So I'll be back tomorrow with more. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Be great.